Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Jenna from the Up North Home, and today I am finally going to bring you guys along while we braid up our onions for our long-term storage in our pantry. My onions have been out here in the barn for way too long drying. The curing process really doesn't take that long, but I've been so busy I haven't been able to get these onions braided and put up, so finally, we're getting out here and I'm going to get all these onions put away. Hopefully all of them today, but if not within the next couple days, I'm going to get them all in there. I have a lot more than I did last year, so I'm probably going to have to put a few more hooks down in our pantry. But today I'm going to show you guys my favorite way on braiding onions because I really don't like the actual braiding of onions. I just don't like the way it looks, and I don't like doing it, and there's just a much better way than actually braiding, the stemmy part. So I'm going to show you guys today how I do that. All right, so I am lucky enough to have a large barn where I'm able to dry and cure my onions, but they are taking up a lot of space in here that we need for other things, and so I'd like to hurry up and get these out of here and in the basement in my pantry where they belong. So I've got a couple spots I've showed you guys. I've got them here on some dog kennels, some like wire dog kennels, and I made kind of a makeshift fencing panel that I have the other ones drying on. And I also had a few in our garage right up by the house, but I've already used those ones for canning, so we just have these ones here. All right, so when you're picking a spot that you're going to be using to braid your onions, I really suggest somewhere outside or in a barn or somewhere that you don't care gets dirty, because I've done this in the house and it was a big mistake because you will get dirt, probably sandy, dirty mess everywhere. So I recommend doing it somewhere outside. A great way is just to find somewhere with like a wood wall that you can have a little nail or a hook of some kind. I'm going to be doing it here inside of our barn, up against kind of one of our sliding doors here in the barn, and I've just got a hook kind of shoved in there so it's not permanent, and we're just going to use that to hook our string on. We've got the main thing we're going to need here, other than our onions, is cotton string. So this is like cotton kitchen string or butcher string. It has a few different names. I just call it kitchen string, but it's 100% cotton string, and you'll find it in like the kitchen supply areas at most stores. You can find it at Walmart and stuff. So you'll need some of this and some scissors or a knife to cut it with, and your onions, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, and then you'll need a spot where you can get dirty, and maybe you'll want like a bucket or something to put your waste in, and that's about it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to grab my onions. They're kind of on the other side of the barn than where we're actually tying these up, so I'm going to just get a big galvanized bucket and go ahead and grab those onions and bring them over here so we have access to them a large amount at one time. Then we're just going to sit. We want to do this sitting because we have a lot of onions. So we've got our folding chairs and little hooks on the walls, and we're going to go ahead and just show you how we do this. All right, so I got this big galvanized tub. We use it now and again to throw hay in. I'm just going to use that to put my onions in so I can carry them over to us. Okay. All right, so we are in our kind of makeshift onion braiding location. We've got a big bucket of onions here, and up here on the door, I've got a little hook here. If you have somewhere where you can stick a nail in, that's ideal, or any kind of little hook, but we just kind of shove these little metal hooks into the barn door so that they're not permanent, so it doesn't interfere with opening the door, obviously. But I'm just going to use this hook to put my string on. So when it comes to braiding onions, you're going to want to start with a nice cured storage onion. So when you pick onions to grow in your garden, if you're planning on storing them for any length of time in a pantry, you're going to want to choose a variety that is good for storage, or a storage onion. This is a Patterson onion, and these are good to store for 10 to 12 months or so if you store them properly. So these are what I grew this year, but there's some other varieties. Just make sure that it says good for storage, and you should be good to go. So you can see that I have a lot of kind of ugly skins and leaves and stuff on here, and that's okay. Don't worry about taking off all these outer leaves. If there's a few, you know, they're kind of hanging there, feel free to remove that, is fine. But you want to keep the skins on as much as possible to protect the onion underneath. And we will eventually be trimming off these stems, but for now we're going to keep these on. But we have been curing these, so make sure when you pull your onions out of the garden, you go ahead and hang them in some fashion where they have good air circulation and they're not in direct sunlight, in a nice shady spot for a week or two until these stems are all dried out. So you can see that I've got no green left in mine. They're nice and brown and dry and crispy, which is what you want, because you don't want moisture in there when you braid these and put them in for storage, or they may spoil before you'd like them to. So make sure that these are nice and dry, and then we're ready to go ahead and start braiding these up. Alright, so here is how I braid my onions. Take a good length of your cotton string. It's maybe like 2 to 3 foot, somewhere in there. I kind of do them all a little bit different length. That way when I hang them up, kind of in the rafters of my pantry, I hang them with nails. And if they're a little bit different lengths, then I can hang them a little closer together. So now I just line up the two ends, the two cut ends, and make a little knot. Close to the end there. So now I have a circle, and I'm going to go ahead and hang this up. Alright, so now I can hands-free get my onions. So I just kind of pull the roots off a little bit, and if there's any kind of yucky or hangy parts, I get those off, but we want to keep as many layers on our onion as possible. So I just stick it through here and wrap around a couple times for the first one. Alright, and now we have our first onion. And then I am going to go ahead and grab another onion and do the same thing. Make sure it looks good and healthy and dry and suitable for storage. So now I'm going to just part my strings. It doesn't matter if it's twisted or anything like that. You just want to stick your onion in. You can stick it in from the back or from the front, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to just wrap it over, then around the string, and then down. So you can put it under however you want. And as you go, you're going to just kind of alternate a little bit so that you have a nice even bunch of onions when you get done. So again, I'm going to just put it through. I'm going to go over the onion, okay, then around my string and down. Usually I tuck it under the onion so it stays put. And then, so the next time I'm going to want to put an onion in this area so that it's even. So I like to have no more than about a week's worth of onion up in my kitchen at a time. If you bring up a huge quantity, they're just going to go bad sooner. So I like to keep them down in the cool pantry as much as possible. So I only do about 7 to 10 onions per bunch, and that way I know that they won't be up in the warm kitchen for more than like a week to a week and a half at a time. All right, so this time I'm gonna go, because I want my onion over here, I'm gonna go through the string this way. And then I'm gonna just repeat that same process. I'm gonna bring my tail over the onion, around the string, and then down. I'm just gonna tuck it right under, like so. And I'm just gonna keep doing that till I got about, like I said, 7 to 10 onions. So there's a big one. So you can see this one's a little bit dirty and it's got kind of these flaking off skins. So I'm just gonna take off those parts. Okay. And remove the onion, or not the onion, the roots. All right. So it's kind of at your discretion where it goes. Over, around, and down. So you just want your bunch of onions to look even. All right, we'll do one more here, and then I'll show you what I do next. So I'm gonna come this way now. And it doesn't matter if you go over left or over right. It doesn't matter. As long as it's wrapped around there, it's gonna stay. One way or another, it's gonna stay on it. All right, so we got our bunch all done with how many onions we wanted on there. So now at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and trim off all of the extra stems that I have here. I like to do that after because, well, for one, it's a lot easier and you don't end up with too short, not enough space to wrap. And also because it kind of gives a little bit of cushion between the onions. And to me, it helps with airflow and just keeps those onions off of each other a little bit. So that is why I do that. But then you can just trim it off with some scissors or a knife. Just make sure that you don't hit your onions, because if you stab through that skin, you're not going to want to keep it in long-term storage. And when I say long-term in this circumstance, that means like up to a year. Alrighty, so now we've got one more step to finish this off. Now these onions are heavy and it's kind of disconcerting to have this one little string that they're hanging by. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab this into my lap and make a little slip knot. And then I'm going to grab the original string it was hanging and put that with the other two so that they line up. And now we have 3 strings there holding on the nail when we hang it up. Makes it a little bit stronger. And now we are ready, so I'm going to go hang these up and we're going to keep braiding up these onions and get them in the pantry. Alright, let's show you guys a little bit closer of this, how I tie the end in case you missed that. So I got my 10 onions on here. So I grab both of the strings and make a slip knot by going like this, pull it through, and then I try to just keep that slip knot as tight as possible. Okay, and then here is my string. Now if I just hold these, right, it's going to pull all the way through. So that's where I keep a hold of this string and I bring it out until they meet and then put those together so all 3 are here. And then I can easily just pull that string and undo it if I need to undo it, but otherwise they're going to hang really nicely like that. And this is why I said to do it outside or someplace that you don't care gets dirty, because we have onions and onion pieces all over the place. Alright you guys, that's how I braid up my onions. I hope that you found this video helpful and informative, and if you liked it, go ahead and subscribe and we will see you guys in the next video.